Do you remember when Congress got all hot and bothered about stablecoins at the end of last year? This was Liz Warren.
DeFi is the most dangerous part of the crypto world. This is where the regulation is effectively absent, and no surprise, it's where the scammers and the cheats and the swindlers mix among part-time investors and first-time crypto traders. Shoot, in DeFi, someone can't even tell if they're dealing with a terrorist.
Read between the lines though, and there's a clear message. The US is terrified of being left behind in financial innovation. The thing is, while DeFi is being painted as the big bad here, it might just be that it's simply an excuse to accelerate the urgency to act in the face of a completely different perceived threat.
Something vexes thee.
CBDCs, or central bank currencies. Now, they're not a threat in themselves. In fact, you'd be forgiven for thinking that a CBDC is actually exactly what the US government would want.
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess. Would you like to go for double jeopardy where the scores can really change?
But even that isn't straightforward. No, the threat actually comes from a much more familiar place. And you have to twist your mouth into a shape that makes it impossible to pronounce vowels properly in order to accept this message.
Let's say China.
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 China. China. China.
So the Winter Olympics are due to commence in 2 weeks on the 2nd of February in Beijing. I started my career shooting snowboard and ski films, so I love this stuff, but there's a bigger story going on here. Now, you might be forgiven for thinking that this is actually a sporting event, but in fact, it presents a golden opportunity for China to showcase their centrally banked digital currency, the ECNY, with a plan to make it the only digital payment option at the event alongside cash and Visa cards. So no Alipay or WeChat Pay, well, at least not yet, anyway, which is a big deal. Now, you might have thought that these strange new digital currencies were a very long way from hitting the mainstream, but they're not. They're already here.
Shut up.
So if you're looking to get your ABCs on CBDCs, then this is the place to be. What are they? Where are they being created? And what benefits and risks do they pose to DeFi? All that coming up in this episode of, yeah, you guessed it,
The Defiant.
So it's January 2020, and the Bank for International Settlements, the BIS, published a sequel to its 2019 survey on central bank digital currencies entitled Impending Arrival. The takeout was that central banks were very busy figuring out how to implement CBDCs, but surprisingly, it was the less well-developed economies that were moving faster from conceptual research to intensive practical development, driven by, as it said, stronger motivations than those of advanced economy central banks. There's a handy website called CBDC Tracker that claims to be on top of what's being created and where around the world. So far, only one project has actually been launched, and that's in Nigeria. According to the website, the e-Naira is not just another CBDC. As it says, we are a people-oriented digital currency leveraging technology to connect individuals and businesses for easy trading and financial inclusion. We push the boundaries, bridge the gaps, and tell actual humane stories. We are the foremost audience-centric digital currency brandishing a face. I'm not sure how one actually goes about brandishing a face. That just feels weird. Now, you hear this kind of language a lot around CBDCs, financial inclusion, empowering communities, fairness, and access. Whisper it. Humanity. The e-Naira is built on Hyperledger Fabric using a permissioned DLT. Yes, it's on a blockchain. The company that created it, BIT, which stands for Banking Innovation Through Technology, nice one, has also created a stablecoin and digital payment infrastructure for the National Bank of Belize and a CBDC for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. It's kind of like the euro, but for the Caribbean. Hailing from the same region, the Bank of Jamaica has just announced the successful completion of its pilot program with an Irish company called eCurrency, who claim to have created
the world's first turnkey solution to securely issue and distribute digital fiat currency, replacing privately issued e-monies and operating as legal tender, alongside note and coin currency. Digital fiat currency is a legitimate, sovereign, monetary instrument issued by the central bank. its distribution leverages existing payments infrastructures, and its standardized units and simple governance stimulates innovation within digital financial services. Digital fiat currency exists as a subset of M0. So with the advent of the e-currency solution, central banks regain the reins of the currency system, encouraging stable economic growth and instilling a layer of protection to funds stored and transferred between citizens, businesses, and financial institutions.
What this actually means is that you, a government, can buy a solution directly off the shelf, just a turnkey solution, change a few parameters, and be up and running really quickly.
An experimental weapon with experimental ammunition.
You could call it that.
Let's experiment.
So if we look at the map, there are currently pilots running in South Africa, Belize, the UAE, Uruguay, Ghana, and the Bahamas gave us the sand dollar, but interestingly, there are also pilots running in Canada, Sweden, France, and of course the big one, China. So why then are we reading headlines like this? And I will leave you to ponder on that while we hear from our sponsors. Xerion is mission control for Web3, giving users the ability to trade DeFi tokens, transfer assets across chains, and show off their NFT collections all in one place. Xerion offers a multi-chain experience with asset tracking and trading across 7 networks, including Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, and BSC, so you'll never miss an opportunity waiting on gas fees to drop. NFT owners can also see their favorite collectibles and art as widgets on their iPhones or Apple Watches and send them to friends and family in a few clicks. Users can explore every corner of the metaverse with Xerion from their web, desktop, and mobile apps. So head to xerion.io to connect your wallet and get started today. When you shop for plane tickets, you probably use Kayak, Expedia, or Google to compare ticket prices. So why would you limit yourself to just one exchange when you trade crypto? When you make your trades, you want to make sure you're getting the best possible price, and that's why you should be using Matcha. Matcha routes your orders across all the various DeFi exchanges on Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, Phantom, and Avalanche, and gives you the best possible prices without taking any commissions. Matcha has smart order routing that splits your order across multiple liquidity sources. It also allows you to make limit orders on chain so you can set and forget your DeFi trades. New to Matcha is an integrated fiat on-ramp so you can purchase crypto directly with your credit or debit card and have that fiat be instantly traded for any token that has liquidity. Head over to matcha.xyz/Defiant and connect your wallet to start trading. Nexo.io is a trusted and easy-to-use crypto lending and exchange platform where you can buy cryptocurrencies at the touch of a button and start earning up to 17% annual interest that's paid out daily. They support all of the major assets on the market, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Polygon, and Polkadot, and allow you to swap one asset for another with lightning speed. With Nexo, you can buy crypto with your Visa and MasterCard credit or debit card instantly and start earning on your digital assets right away. You can also borrow cash and stablecoins tax efficiently against your digital assets without selling them. Nexo complies with the highest security standards and is audited in real time, which is why nearly 3 million people in over 200 countries trust the platform with their digital assets. So whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned pro, get the most out of your crypto today at nexo.io. All right, so this is probably the moment to take a step back and just remind ourselves what a CBDC actually is. And it's not really that complicated. A CBDC is a central bank digital currency. So it's digital only, it's issued by central banks, and it's considered legal tender, just like fiat currency. So essentially it acts as a claim on the central bank or the government. And there are actually not one but 2 types of CBDC. There's wholesale and retail. Wholesale is a restricted access digital token for wholesale settlements like interbank payments or security settlement. And the whole goal is to resolve liquidity and counterparty risks while generally just speeding everything up, and in particular, increasing efficiency in cross-border payments. Oh yes, our old friend cross-border payments that so many cryptocurrencies have tried to solve. What's that I hear? Ripple? Never heard of it. This is for financial institutions with reserves deposited in a central bank. Then there's the retail flavor, which aims to be traceable, anonymous, and available 24/7. Remove the cost of cash printing add in financial inclusion since individuals may not actually need a bank account to hold the digital currency. And this fully digital currency supposedly would offer unprecedented levels of real-time insights on the economy that could then be directed towards more informed monetary policy if you're the government in charge. And of course, there's that old chestnut, combating fraud and terrorism, etc., etc., etc. The UK Finance's report on CBDCs calls this particular piece the key prize for central banks and governments across the globe. And of course, it's the biggest stick that we always get hit with when regulators are talking about cryptocurrencies.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
All of this brings us neatly to the elephant in the room, privacy. Now, the European Central Bank, the ECB, ran a survey of 8,000 respondents canvassing views on a digital euro. Privacy of payments ranked highest among the requested features of a potential digital euro. And if all currency is digital, then a central bank is going to have access to an extraordinary level of intelligence about you, about me, about everybody. China's digital yuan allows the government to see pretty much every transaction a user makes, every single one. But even anonymity in transactions might not be enough. Let's say a CBDC administrator colludes with a retailer. When you make a store payment using a digital currency, the retailer could then report that, for instance, a specific transaction took place for a specific amount at a specific time. And from there, it wouldn't be that difficult to narrow down a list of users and then potentially identify an individual. Anonymity be damned. A fully digital currency system raises the specter of a system that can be monitored by law enforcement and intelligence agencies, but doesn't allow offline peer-to-peer transactions using something like a hardware solution like a chip or a SIM card. In other words, I cannot transact with you without passing through a system I know to be under observation at all times. It's kind of like buying a house and then being told that there are cameras in every room with the feeds being recorded 24/7. Have a think about that. So the House of Lords in the UK, they had a committee that flagged the inevitable controversial debates on privacy, but they also raised concerns around consumers withdrawing their bank deposits into their CBDC accounts and creating a digital run on the banks, especially during turbulent times like the ones we've been experiencing recently. And in the US, Minnesota Representative Tom Emmer announced plans to introduce a bill specifically intended to prevent the Federal Reserve from acting as a retail bank, claiming this would put the Fed on an insidious path akin to China's digital authoritarianism. So this is all moving at speed now. There's clear appetite for CBDCs from emerging nations, but all eyes are on China now as it prepares the mass rollout of the ECNY at the Olympics. Athletes are going to be able to use wristbands that facilitate contactless payments throughout the Olympic Village. And interestingly though, news broke last week that Tencent Holdings has now made WeChat compatible with the digital yuan using a WeBank wallet. So it's almost certainly just a matter of time before Alipay follows suit. The PBOC has done this really fast, and it's forcing the US into this really uncomfortable position of having to decide at relative speed how it's going to interact and interface with this new digital financial reality. Does it adopt the same system as the digital one? Does it find a better one? Or is there a real risk of losing its position as the global reserve currency? This is a big deal.
All of you relax. This is a matter of inconvenient timing, that's all.
The digital yuan isn't actually issued on a blockchain. That's not to say that it won't be in the future. They are exploring this. At the moment, it's a two-layer system with the central bank in charge of the issuance and then banks acting as intermediaries the same way they do with conventional cash. So where does that leave stablecoins? Well, Liz Warren might believe that we in DeFi are a bunch of degenerate demons hell-bent on burning the financial system to the ground. Others, though, are a little more circumspect. So if we return to that UK finance report, there is a little bit of hope in the conclusion there. Given the diverse landscape of e-money firms, banks, credit card issuers, and payment service providers we currently have in the UK, it's not inconceivable for this rich landscape to be joined by stablecoins, offering different characteristics and features operating alongside a sterling CBDC. Now, it's not clear what those characteristics are yet, but given the rich buffet of stablecoins currently available in crypto, they won't be short of options. But for now, I shall leave you with an interview from CNBC with Agustin Carstens, the Mexican general manager of the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, who is a very firm supporter of CBDCs. So you can hear exactly how he thinks about DeFi. But before we do, let me just ask you one other thing. What happens if a CBDC gets hacked? Will they just put in a call to Banteg? Have a great weekend. This was the Defiant.
What in particular troubles you about DeFi, and how do you propose going about controlling or regulating this new sector?
Well, I think it's important first to understand the sector better. I think that what we try to do here is to go to the origin of what DeFi is, decentralized finance, and to see if really the aspect of decentralization really raises to the expectation that it has been created around what it can deliver. And what we found is that first, the decentralized aspect tends to be elusive, and that there are some incentive issues related to the fact that through this decentralization, at some point you end up with some agents that play an important role and not necessarily for the best of users of financial services and for financial stability by itself. Therefore, it's important to look really deep down into what decentralized finance is and to assess if the incentives are right. And we have some problems, we have found some issues that are subject of concern. And therefore, it's important that we as authorities don't feel complacent with the idea that once given that is decentralized is safe. I mean, there might be aspects that are safe, but there are also some aspects that are not. And I think that should make us think seriously about it.
There's a conundrum, though, because if you start to impose governance structures, it sort of is at odds with the whole notion of a decentralized system in the first place.
Well, the illusion precisely is that the governance structure is there. It's hidden, it's not apparent, but at the end of the day, the ones who facilitate the transactions are present and sometimes with not very clear incentives. So I think that's precisely the illusion we are mentioning in our report.